Chris here and welcome back to another tablet review. This is a budget tablet offering from a manufacturer that is new to me, Vastking. This is their KingPad K10 with a 10.1-inch screen. Now it runs Android 10, it has a octa-core CPU in this one. The chipset is the Unisoc T610, paired out with 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage. Luckily that storage is expandable with micro SD card support. It is a 6,000 mAh battery within this, Type-C, wireless AC, FM, radio, GPS, and I'll be covering in depth just what we can expect performance-wise from this particular budget tablet, and exactly how the screen is, the build quality, battery life, gaming performance even, I will be testing out, and even this, the optional keyboard type cover case that you can get for this particular tablet. So in the box of the KingPad K10, you will find our charger. So this one's 2-prong US style. It's 10 watts only, so the charge time is rather slow. It's just over 3 hours. There is a Type-C to USB cable. We have a little bit of paperwork as well included. So a quick start guide. There's a user manual and a card here. If you register, you can get a 2-year warranty and also a SIM tray tool. And moving on to our build quality now of this tablet. So it's made out of an alloy, the backing plate on it. It has a smooth finish to it with this matte paint job, which doesn't tend to pick up fingerprints. There's also a 13 megapixel camera on the rear with a LED flash. And the thickness of it is not bad at all, 9 millimeters, and it weighs just 530 grams, which is a normal standard kind of weight. And with the screen here, you can see we don't have slim bezels with this particular model here. Front-facing 5 megapixel camera. And this is what you can expect from the front-facing 5 megapixel camera here. Not amazing quality, and what you're listening to is the single mic, just mono here as well with this Vastking tablet. And down the bottom we have these 2 downwards firing speakers, pogo port pin connector for the keyboard, which I do have. This is an optional accessory that will cost you about $30 US more. But here is a sample of those 2 speakers there at 100% volume. So as you can hear from that, they've got a decent amount of volume to them, but really they are flat. They don't have any bass at all, those speakers. And then up the top here, there is a little bit of plastic. So this is where the antennas will be located inside within this. And we have a 3.5mm headphone jack. Quality is okay. There's no static or interference over it. And then finally on the left side, Type-C port of course for charging. Here is our volume up and down button and the power button. These are made out of metal. Now they don't rattle around, but it does move a little bit, the volume button, as you can see as I give that a bit of a wiggle. And this little hole here is a reset button too. Up the top is where you'll find our micro SD card slot. Now it will actually take a SIM card. You can put one in there, a nano SIM, but it just simply will not work because there is no modem hardware within this particular tablet. And for an extra $30 US, we have the cover, case, and keyboard combo. So the back of it, it's made out of this fake leather type material. It actually feels quite good. We have this stiff hinge in the back that will act as our kickstand, and it sits in and clips into this hard case inside. There you can see the keyboard layout. We have a small touchpad, which is better than nothing, but it's not really that good, this particular touchpad. The keyboard, though, however, is good. I do like typing on this one. It's flat, so there's no flex, there's no bounce or anything like that when using it. And you can see it connects up with the hardware pogo port pin connectors right there. So I simply need to slot the tablet into place, clip it in, and it is secure. So you need to make sure that that end is in there first, so the pogo port pin connectors make contact. And once that has clipped into place, you're all set, ready to go. So there are a few shortcuts on this too that you can see. So holding down function, I can control the screen brightness just through the keyboard. The media controls there at the top. And here you can see our cursor there. And the touchpad is better than nothing, but I just wish it was a little better, this one. It just seems a little bit unresponsive at times around the edges. And to finer lighter movements, tends to jump around a little bit, but it's usable. That's the main thing. So we have a non-laminated display here with this particular tablet, the KingPad K10. Now there's a gap of about 1 millimeter. When you look at it closely at an angle, you will notice that there is a gap between the digitizer glass and this IPS panel below. Now this IPS panel has a maximum brightness of 270 nits, almost. That is measuring whites at 100% brightness. That's about 100 nits more than the TechTablets M40, which had a very dull display. So this display is a little bit better than that one. Blacks don't look so deep because it's not fully laminated and being an IPS panel as well. So the screen resolution is 1920 by 1200. And overall, it's not a bad screen that they have gone with. And yes, the bezels, they aren't exactly the slimmest on this particular model, but they aren't too bad here. This tablet does support our full screen gestures, and I don't have any problems triggering them at all. The touch response and the accuracy does seem to be also quite good on this panel. So I just swipe down here our toggles and just bring up our settings for the display. We do have a lot of them in here. So we've got our colors and our contrast, as you can see right here. You're able to adjust the white balance. You can adjust the contrast there too to your own preference. Now there is no ambient light sensor. So just swiping there from the side, you can see that's the back for the full screen gestures. Eye comfort is there too as well. A dark mode, your screen timeout and scaling options are there too as well. So that is all pretty straightforward there and self-explanatory. But you would be surprised to know that some manufacturers, they do actually miss out on including those settings there like the white balance and things. So that's good that it's here with this particular tablet. Now the ROM performance in general, if you're not running anything too heavy, we've only got 3 gigabytes of RAM with this, and you get about 1.5 to, you can see right now, 1.2 gigabytes free. And I find that it's not bad for swapping over for different applications and things, as long as you don't have something demanding in the background running. And then you will see with this particular chipset, a tiny little bit of slowdown will come through, a little bit of lag, because after all, it is, well, it's relatively low end, the chipset that's in this, which is that Tiger T610 from Unisoc, that chipset. It's about the equivalent of a Snapdragon 662. So this tablet does have FM radio hardware tuner on there as well, but you do need to plug in a 3.5mm headset that will act as the antenna and the aerial as well for that. So when you get it, you've only got just over 21 gigabytes free with this, and there's not a lot of free space, so about 22 gigabytes, sorry there, just over, because it's only 32 gigabytes of included storage with this eMMC storage, which I believe is 4.5 spec, and I have benchmarked that, which you'll see later on. So with this ROM, we don't really get any bloatware. This is one of the positives. It's an Android 10 stock ROM, no bloated launcher, and this is definitely favoring and helping the performance, which we're going to need. The best kind of performance you can possible. You want a light ROM out of this low-end particular chipset here. As mentioned, it's the Unisoc T610, and the 610 is not really that fast. You can see from this score here, the main weakness is the GPU. When you take a look at Antutu, so you can see 24,000 points here, the CPU score of 64, memory, and then the UI speeds aren't too bad, with an overall score of 178,008 is, yes, low end with this one. Now the storage speed, internal storage, not really that quick at all. You can see here we get a lower sequential read than we do writes, random reads and random writes, a little on the slow side there as well. So yes, definitely a budget tablet, which this one is. Widevine level cert is level 3, you can see here. As expected, Chinese tablets do not normally apply for this. It's an added expense for them, so that means Netflix, you can install it, it'll run, but it'll be in standard definition, Amazon Prime Video as well, and Disney Plus, sadly. So wireless speeds are here pretty much on par with the type of chipset here, so low end, and you get a maximum speed of about 180 megabits per second, connected up to Wi-Fi 5G network that I have here, and the last point just getting over 113 megabits per second is okay, and really for the spec of tablet, I wouldn't really expect any faster there. Now, GPS works quite average. We don't have a hardware compass. It takes a long time to get a lock, and it sees a reasonable amount of satellites, well, relatively low actually for 2021, only 14, and it won't use all of them. Accuracy will hover around 4 meters, unfortunately, so not so good for GPS navigation and things like that, not really. Now, battery life, this is my 4th cycle right here. So originally I was only getting about 6 hours of battery life, and we've got a runtime here now of 7 hours and 45 minutes. So if you're watching just light content, videos, movies, things like that, a bit of YouTube, then yeah, probably about 8 to 9 hours. But ideally, I'd love to see a little bit more than this. So not an absolute battery champion here. Other tablets I reviewed in the channel with 6,000 milliamp hour batteries can get around 8 hours as well, but a lot of them do have 8,000 milliamp hours, which would give us then about 10 hours of battery run time. So a little disappointing there. As mentioned, the charge time is somewhat over 3 hours, which is also on the slow side there. And having a look here at our PDF file performance. So this is very good. Now, if you're wondering what reader am I using, this is Google Play Books. You upload your PDF files to it, and it gives you that nice page effect there too when you turn over. So this performance is decent at your normal reading pace. And of course, when you do double tap and zoom into text here, it looks good. It is sharp with this IPS panel. It's bright, it's clear. And that's what we want from these kind of basic tablets really, is this is what it's good at. And that's just light tasks. So Google Chrome, PDFs, and eBooks too, which I will test out now. So this looks good on the screen, and of course it's not going to cause any slowdown. Something light like an ebook is ideal on this kind of spec of tablet. So we'll take now a look at briefly some gaming performance, and can this tablet actually play a demanding game? Let's find out. So with the lower settings here with Call of Duty, it is playable. It has the high frame rate and just the lowest possible visuals, just to keep that frame rate up. You may occasionally see a little bit of slowdown. I've noticed, like if there's smoke on screen or something like that, then that will happen. And let's see if I can just get a kill here. So it is enough to play these games, but definitely you want to keep it on the low settings with this particular chipset. There's another enemy up there. He got away from me, that one. Okay, so just to recap now, that the screen is probably the best thing about this particular tablet, that it is clear, it's sharp, and reasonably bright too. It's not as dull as some of the ones I have seen recently, like the TechTablets M40 with only 170 nits of brightness. This one is 270 nits, so it's not the brightest out there, of course not, but it's still a lot better and perfectly good for use indoors. Now the ROM, Android 10 ROM without any bloatware, not a bloated launcher that they are using as well, so that keeps the performance up. So general UI speeds and getting around in it and multitasking aren't too bad. You will occasionally see a few little frame dips and lag, especially if you do a bit of heavy multitasking with this particular tablet. Gaming performance is very, very average. As you saw from the Antutu score, this chipset, not exactly a powerhouse. It's not super powerful. The GPU is the weakness in this one. So you can play games like Call of Duty, but you do need to use lowest settings there for those more demanding games. Otherwise you will run into lag and issues with your frame rate. And I do like the keyboard cover case. This is another good thing about it. For an optional $30 US, you have a great keyboard to type on at least. The touchpad on it is a little small and it's not really that sensitive and responsive, but it's good at least to have that option there with it. And I do like the way it slots in, clips into this, and it is not going to go anywhere once it's in that. It is very secure and it does offer quite a bit of protection. It reminds me of keyboard cases we had a couple of years back from other manufacturers. And the fact that you can set any angle here and you can press on that and it's not going to collapse under its own weight. The hinge is stiff on the kickstand on this particular model here too as well. Now battery life is only about, well, we're looking around 8 hours, so ideally it should be a little bit more than that, but it is just a 6,000 milliamp hour battery that is within this one. So there's no HDMI output, we don't have widevine level 1 as well, so the usual suspects with these particular tablets. The cameras aren't that great either, nor are the speakers when you turn them up maximum volume. It is loud, but it's a little bit flat there. So that is the KingPad K10 here. Thank you so much for watching my review of it, and I do hope to see you back in the channel. Thank you so much for watching.